Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Jaya Radha Shama Sundar Radha Shama Sundar Radhe Jaya Radha Shama Sundar Radha Shama Sundar Radhe Jai Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Shri Shri Radha Sham Sundar Lalita Vishakha ki Jai Jagannath Baladev Subhadra ki Jai Gaur Nitai ki Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. We are reading from chapter 7 verse 8. Rasoham apsu kaunteya
Rasoham apsu kaunteya
Prabhasmi Shashi Suryayo
Prabhasmi Shashi Suryayo
Pranava Sarva Vedeshu
Pranava Sarva Vedeshu
Shabdakhe Paurusham Rashu
Shabdake Paurusham Rashu
Rasoham Apsu Kaunteya
Rasoham apsu kaunteya
Prabhasmi Shashi Suryayo
Prabhasmi Shashi Suryayo
Pranava Sarva Vedeshu
Pranava Sarva Vedeshu
Shabdakhe Paurusham Rashu
Shabdake Paurusham Rashu
Rasoham Apsu Kaunteya
Rasoham apsu kaunteya
Prabhasmi Shashi Suryayo
Prabhasmi Shashi Suryayo
Pranava Sarva Vedeshu
Pranava Sarva Vedeshu
Shabdakhe Paurusham Rashu.
Shabdake Paurusham Rashu.
Please chant.
Rasoham apsu kaunteya
Rasoham apsu kaunteya
Prabhasmi shashi suryaho
Prabhasmi
Prabhasmi
Shashi
Shashi Suryayo
Suryayo
Pranava sarva vedeshu
Pranava
Pranava
Sarva
Sarva Vedeshu
Vedeshu
Shabdakhe paurusham rishu
Shabdake
Shabdakhe
Paurusham
Paurusham
Rashu.
Rashu.
Rasoham apsu kaunteya
Rasoham Apsu Kaunteya
Prabhasmi Shashi Suryayo
Prabhasmi Shashi Suryayo
Pranava Sarva Vedeshu
Pranava Sarva Vedeshu
Shabdake Paurusham Rashu.
Shabdakhe Paurusham Rashu.
Rasoham apsu kaunteya
Rasoham
Rasoham apsu
Apsu Kaunteya
kaunteya
Prabhasmi sasi suryayo
Prabhasmi
Prabhasmi Shashi
Shashi Suryayo
Suryayo
Pranavah sarva vedeshu
Pranava
Pranava Sarva
Sarva Vedeshu
Vedeshu
Sabdake paurusham rashu.
Shabdake
Shabdakhe
Paurusham
Paurusham
Rashu.
Rashu. Synonyms. Rasaha,
Rasaha
Rasaha
taste.
taste.
Aham,
Aham
I.
I
Apsu,
apsu
Apsu
in water.
in
in
water.
water.
Kaunteya,
Kaunteya
Kaunteya
O son of Kunti.
O
O
son
son
of
of
Kunti.
Kunti.
Prabha,
Prabha,
the light.
the light.
Asmi,
Asmi,
I am.
I am.
Shashi Suryayoh,
Shashi Suryayo,
of the moon and the sun.
of the moon and the sun.
Pranavaha,
Pranavaha,
the 3 letters Om.
the 3 letters Om.
Sarva,
Sarva,
in all.
in all.
Vedeshu,
Vedeshu,
the Vedas.
the Vedas.
Shabdaha,
Shabdaha,
sound vibration.
sound vibration.
K,
K,
in the ether.
in the ether.
Paurusham,
Paurusham,
ability.
ability.
Nrishu,
Nrishu,
in men.
in men.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. O son of Kunti, I am the taste of water, the light of the sun and the moon, the syllable Om in the Vedic Mantras. I am the sound in ether and ability in man. Any volunteers to read the purport? Okay. This verse explains how the Lord is all-pervasive by his diverse material and spiritual energies. The Supreme Lord can be preliminarily perceived by his different energies, and in this way, he is realized impersonally. As the demigod in the sun is a person and is perceived by his all-pervading energy, the sunshine, so the Lord, although in his eternal abode, is perceived by his all-pervading diffusive energies. The taste of water is the active principle of water. No one likes to drink seawater because the pure taste of water is mixed with salt. Attraction for water depends on the purity of the taste, and this pure taste is one of the energies of the Lord. The impersonalist perceives the presence of the Lord in water by its taste, and the personalist also glorifies the Lord for his kindly supplying tasty water to quench man's thirst. That is the way of perceiving the Supreme. Practically speaking, there is no conflict between personalism and impersonalism. One who knows God knows that the impersonal conception and personal conception are simultaneously present in everything, and that there is no contradiction. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya established his sublime doctrine, Achintya Bheda and Abheda Tattva, simultaneous oneness and difference. The light of the sun and the moon is also originally emanating from the Brahma Jyotir, which is the impersonal effulgence of the Lord. And Pranava, or the Omkara, transcendental sound in the beginning of every Vedic hymn, addresses the Supreme Lord. Because the impersonalists are very much afraid of addressing the Supreme Lord Krishna by his innumerable names, they prefer to vibrate the transcendental sound Omkara, but they do not realize that Omkara is the sound representation of Krishna. The jurisdiction of Krishna consciousness extends everywhere, and one who knows Krishna consciousness is blessed. Those who do not know Krishna are in illusion, and so knowledge of Krishna is liberation, and ignorance of him is bondage. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hare Priye Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this is a very important verse. Srila Prabhupada quotes this verse many times. He's especially fond of I am the taste of water. He gives this example about how we can remember Krishna even in our daily life. So whenever we drink water, we feel very satisfied. That's one of the functions of water. Water has many different functions. According to the third canto, it describes the functions of water. Water can moisten something and it can soften something. It can also reduce heat, and then it reduces the thirst. So water, when somebody is thirsty and if they get some water to drink, they'll feel really satisfied by that water. Then we can experience the taste of water. In the pure water, the taste is very obvious. Like spring water, if you drink directly from the spring, it's the best. And that is the active principle of water. The taste is the active principle of water. And Prabhupada says in his lecture that anything we taste, any liquid, whether it is juice or anything else that has water, the actual taste, the original base taste is the taste of water. That's what we will be satisfied with. And even in liquor, people are satisfied with liquor because it has water. That's what Prabhupada says. So everyone appreciates this water. So when we meet some people, sometimes many times devotees have this question: how do we start preaching to somebody who has no exposure and they may not be even wanting to listen anything from us about God? So at that time, we can use this example that I am the taste of water. Just one second. Sorry, Maharaj is still here, so the servant wanted something. I was hoping that he could give the lecture, but then he got a fever again, so couldn't give. So this, like, we can tell anybody, you know, this water tastes so good, and they'll also appreciate the taste of water. That is one of the energies of the Lord. So one can begin at the level of appreciating the energy of the Lord. So the next one Krishna says is, I am the light of the sun and the moon. So we all have experience of how important the sunlight is. The plants don't grow when there is no sunlight. If we try to grow something indoors, the growth is not as rapid as the light of the as in the light of the sun. And even for the living beings, any living being, animals or human beings, the sunlight is extremely important. It gives many nutrients that we may not get otherwise through anything else. And it also is primarily responsible for a person's mental health. Like in Seattle, there is not much sunlight. Very few days they'll get sun. And there are a lot of cases of depression in Seattle. They have to, like every person there has to take vitamin D, otherwise they won't be healthy, both physically and mentally. So that's the power of sun. Sun also purifies anything it shines on. So this is an example for a pure person. If not so pure person goes to impure places, then he will get contaminated. But if a pure person, even if he goes to impure places, he will purify the place, but he doesn't get contaminated. Okay, so the sun has this purifying potency. So it's very important, the sunlight. And Prabhupada explains that this concept of sun and sunlight also exemplifies the concept of achintya bheda bheda tattva, simultaneous oneness and difference. So when we see the sunlight, we feel the sun, we feel that sun is there, and sometimes we even refer to the sunlight as sun. So same thing with the Lord's potencies, the Lord's energies, how they are pervaded everywhere is similar to sunshine. So just like throughout the universe, the sun shines, even if it's some 40 million miles away. It shines, and then we can notice. Similarly, even if the Lord is present in his own abode in Goloka Vrindavan, his energies are pervaded everywhere. And some examples are these: taste of water, light of the sun and moon, syllable Om, and sound in ether, and ability in man. These are some of the examples. So if we learn to see the Lord when we see the Lord's energy, if we learn to remember the Lord when we see the Lord's energy, then there is no problem in thinking about Krishna all the time. Srila Prabhupada always says that how can you forget Krishna? When you drink water, you can remember Krishna. When you see the sunlight, you can remember Krishna. Everything, should remind you of Krishna, which is what exactly it is. Everything is an energy of Krishna. So Krishna is the same as everything. Like he's one with everything in that sense, because everything is his energy, but he's also different because he exists separately somewhere else. If we take a piece of paper and we break it into many pieces and throw it away, then the original piece of paper doesn't exist anymore. It's spread everywhere. The pieces are spread everywhere and the original doesn't exist. So Krishna, if his energies are spread everywhere, he's not like that paper which ceased to exist. He still exists in his original form, even though he expands into so many different forms, even though his energy is everywhere, he still exists as a different person from his energy. So that is the difference between our philosophy and impersonalistic philosophy. Impersonalist thinks that's all it is, just the energy that is existing everywhere, that's the supreme. I am God, you are God, and everyone is God. That's their idea. But a personalist, he doesn't disagree with it. That's one concept, one aspect of God realization. That is Brahman realization, but he doesn't say that's all in all. That's how Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport that there is no contradiction between impersonal conception and personal conception. Because even a person who believes in personal conception, he accepts for the impersonal conception, which says that Krishna's energy is everywhere. But there is an addition to it, which is he exists separately from his energy. The second thing, Prabhupada says that light of sun and moon, they originally come from Brahma Jyoti, the effulgence from Krishna's body. And they gain all. The moon also is very important for the growth of vegetables. In general, when vegetables grow outside, they are more juicy than the greenhouse vegetables. People don't prefer to buy greenhouse vegetables because they don't have that juice. Moon is the one who supplies that juice to the vegetables. So it's very important. Moon's functions are also very important for the earth or other planets. There is only one sun and one moon according to the scriptures for the entire universe, but scientists may differ in that opinion. And the next thing he says is, I am the syllable Om in the Vedic Mantras. So every mantra starts with Om. Every mantra starts with Om, and that Om represents Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada says Om is already included in Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Maharaj was also saying on Saturday how Om is included in Hare Krishna Mantra. And sound is the primary element. This is also from Maharaj's lecture on Saturday, that he said sound is the primary element and it has the potency to take us beyond the material world, because all the other elements, they come from sound, ether, they come from that. And then because sound is higher than all those elements, it has the ability to take us beyond the material world also. It can penetrate through the layers of material world, different layers. This whole universe is covered. It's like an egg-shaped arrangement, and then it is covered by different layers. The layer of earth, the layer of water, the layer of fire, the layer of air, and then ether, and then mind, intelligence, and false ego. So all these layers, to penetrate all these layers is not easy, but sound can do that. With the help of sound, we can also get liberated. So the example is Advaita Acharya's story. Advaita Acharya, he was very, like he was in great anxiety looking at the situation of the world. Everybody was so much into this materialism, and they were into showing their wealth, and they were trying to even get their cats and dogs married and call everybody. It's just pure competition. One person married their daughter, and the other person, he does a bigger celebration than this person. So then the next time he may do a bigger celebration than the second person, just to show that I'm better than you. And then the competition goes on like that. And if a person wants to show off and has no more kids to perform wedding ceremonies, they celebrate wedding ceremony for cats and dogs. So this is the extent to which the society went at that time. And then Advaita Acharya was very pained to see that, because any pure devotee, he'll be very pained to see the condition of all the, Baddha Jivas, conditioned living entities. And they want to help them. So Advaita Acharya, he took it upon himself to help by calling the Lord to come to the world. So he prayed to Krishna by worshipping his Shaligram Shilas, and by using Tulsi and Chandan for worshipping Shaligram Shilas. He prays, he loudly calls out for Lord Chaitanya. He loudly calls out that you should come now. You should come and teach these people how they can execute devotional service. Otherwise, how are they going to learn? So because of his loud cries, Lord Chaitanya says at a later time that I was hearing Advaita Acharya's pleas every day, because of that sound vibration can penetrate through the material coverings and reach to the Lord. That's the reason why Advaita Acharya used the sound vibration. And Lord Chaitanya had to come because of that. He came down and he spent his whole life teaching us like a devotee. He never claimed himself as the Supreme Lord. He taught everybody how to perform devotional service. Just like a devotee performs, he showed how to perform. So that is the importance of sound. And finally, he says, I am the ability in man. So this, if you see some very nice creations of man, like suppose, have you all seen the pictures of pyramids? Do you know the measurements of pyramids? Does anyone know how big pyramids are? they're huge, like they're like mountains. They look like mountains, but they're all man-made. So this is an example for the ability in man. And Krishna is that ability in man. Krishna is the one who gives that ability. That is the energy of Krishna. So if we see some ability in somebody, some extraordinary ability, that should remind us of Krishna. That is Krishna's energy. Krishna has given it to him. And people deserve to get those abilities. They work towards it for multiple lifetimes and they may get certain abilities. And that is an expansion of Krishna's energy. So this is how we should look at the world. So while being in this world, if we cultivate this kind of consciousness, this kind of outlook, when we look at something, if we cultivate that consciousness, then it is not very hard to think of Krishna all the time, because we know what exactly is Krishna's energy in that particular aspect. So that's how a pure devotee sees everything as spiritual. How he's how the devotee sees everything as connected to Krishna. That's what makes everything look spiritual. Okay, so because we still have half an hour, let's do another verse. Punyo gandha prativyam sha
Punyo gandha prativyam cha
tejaschasmi vibhavaso
tejaschasmi vibhavasau
jivanam sarva bhuteshu
jivanam sarva bhuteshu
tapaschasmi tapasvishu.
tapaschasmi tapasvishu.
Punyo gandha prativyamscha prativyamcha
Punyo gandha prativyam cha
tejaschasmi vibhavaso
tejaschasmi vibhavasau
jivanam sarva bhuteshu
jivanam sarva bhuteshu
tapaschasmi tapasvishu.
tapaschasmi tapasvishu.
Punyo gandha prativyamcha
Punyo gandha prativyam cha
tejaschasmi vibhavaso
tejaschasmi vibhavasau
jivanam sarva bhuteshu
jivanam sarva bhuteshu
tapaschasmi tapasvishu.
tapaschasmi tapasvishu.
Please chant.
Punyo gandha prativyamscha
Punyo gandha prativyam cha
tejaschasmi vibhavasau
tejaschasmi vibhavasau
jivanam sarva bhuteshu
jivanam sarva bhuteshu
tapaschasmi tapasvishu.
tapaschasmi tapasvishu. Punyo gandha prativyam cha
Punyo gandha prativyamcha
tejaschasmi vibhavasau
tejaschasmi
Tejaschasmi
vibhavaso
vibhavasau
jivanam sarva bhuteshu
jivanam
jivanam
sarva
sarva bhuteshu
bhuteshu
tapaschasmi tapasvishu.
tapaschasmi
tapaschasmi tapasvishu.
tapasvishu. Synonyms: punyaha,
Punyaha,
Punyaha
original;
original,
gandhaha,
gandhaha,
gandhaha
fragrance;
fragrance,
fragrance,
prithivyam,
prativyam,
prativyam
in the earth;
in the earth,
cha,
cha
also;
also,
tejaha,
tejaha
heat;
heat,
cha,
cha
also;
also,
also,
asmi,
asmi,
asmi
I am;
I
I
am,
am,
vibhavasau,
vibhavasa,
vibhavasau
in the fire;
in
in
the
the
fire,
fire,
jivanam,
jiva,
jivanam
life;
life,
life,
sarva,
sarva,
sarva
in all;
in
in
all,
all
bhuteshu,
bhuteshu,
bhuteshu
living entities;
living
living
entities,
tapaha,
Tapaha.
penance,
Penance.
cha,
Cha.
also,
Also.
asmi,
Asmi.
I am,
I am.
tapasvishu,
Tapasvishu.
in those who practice penance.
In those who practice penance.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. I am the original fragrance of the earth, and I am the heat in fire. I am the life of all that lives, and I am the penances of all ascetics. Punya means that which is not decomposed. Punya is original. Everything in the material world has a certain flavor or fragrance, as the flavor and fragrance in a flower, or in the earth, in water, in fire, in air, etc. The uncontaminated flavor, the original flavor which permeates everything, is Krishna. Similarly, everything has a particular original taste, and this taste can be changed by the mixture of chemicals. So everything original has some smell, some fragrance, and some taste. Vibhavasu means fire. Without fire, we cannot run factories, we cannot cook, etc. And that fire is Krishna. The heat in the fire is Krishna. According to Vedic medicine, indigestion is due to a low temperature in the belly. So even for digestion, fire is needed. In Krishna consciousness, we become aware that earth, water, fire, air, and every active principle, all chemicals and all material elements are due to Krishna. The duration of man's life is also due to Krishna. Therefore, by the grace of Krishna, man can prolong his life or diminish it. So, Krishna consciousness is active in every sphere. Here, Krishna is telling he's the original fragrance of the earth. So earth is a reservoir of different flavors and different fragrances. So earth is the same earth, but if you put one seed of tomato and one seed of squash in the earth, two different plants come. They smell differently, the plants, and then they give different fruits. And even the fruits have different flavors. Same thing, like if you plant a rose plant or a jasmine plant in the same earth, but they give out differently shaped flowers. And the smell of those flowers is different. Both are nice, but they're different. So this is how the earth is a repository of different fragrances. And the original fragrance, which is the mother of all these fragrances, is the earth's fragrance, and that is Krishna. So Krishna is the source of all these beautiful flowers and all these creations. So Prabhupada says in one of his lectures that if you look at a rose, the design is so intricate, like all the petals, the shape of the petals and how they're put together, the color, different shades in the flower, and the smell, everything is so nicely made. Suppose if we try to draw something like real rose, it takes a long time to draw one particular flower. And it may not even be exactly the same as the original rose. It may not look the same as original rose. And of course, it won't have any fragrance. And it doesn't have any touch, like the touch aspect of the flower. So it's just to draw, we take so much time. And we refuse to accept some creator. The science refuses to accept a personality behind the creation. So it's not possible, it's not logical not to have a creator for such artistic things. Flowers and also birds, they are the artistic representations of Krishna's potency. So we need to understand that it's not just magical, it's not just random, it's not by chance, like the scientists say. It is well thought of, and it is created by Krishna. And this kind of creation is not possible for the science. Suppose we conduct a science experiment. We have different elements and we combine them sometimes and we make them go through a certain process, and the result will be the same always. It won't be different. If we follow the same process, the result will also be the same. But that's not the case with Earth. Whatever seed, different seed you put, and different results come out with the same material. That kind of creation, no scientist can make it happen. So Prabhupada says, I'll give you all the materials and you make it happen. Without Krishna's help. Like suppose, if they say the earth has different, chemicals, if you just get the chemicals, it doesn't really function like how the Lord created. So in every element, there is flavor, earth, water, fire, air, ether. That's what Krishna says. There is fragrance and flavor. So original flavor that is permeated everywhere is Krishna. And original taste that is permeated everywhere is Krishna. And original smell is Krishna. And he talks about fire specifically. So the element of fire is heat. When there is fire, there is heat. Inadvertently, there is heat when there is fire. If there is heat, we know that there is fire. But they both are not the same. They are different. Again, it's an example for Achintya Bheda Veda Tattva. So fire and heat are the same and different at the same time. So fire is very important for everything. Fire can run the factories. We need fire to cook. And also digestion is because of the fire. Does Krishna say that I'm the fires, I'm the fire of digestion? Among the fires, I'm the fire of digestion. In later chapters?
Yes, in the 15th chapter.
Yes.
Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva Praninam Deha.
Thank you, Prabhu. So, if somebody has indigestion, it is because of not having enough fire in the belly, because of low temperature. So, we need fire to survive. If someone can't digest the food, they can't get any energy. There will be zero energy. So digestion fire is needed. We need digestion fire, and that is Krishna. So earth, water, fire, air, everything, in everything, all the different elements, the active principle is Krishna. Everything is given by Krishna. In the previous verse, he also says, I am the life of all living entities. Was it previous verse or the next verse? Oh, here in this verse, I am the life of all that lives. So if Krishna is not there, even if the spirit soul is there in the body, it won't be functional. Because of the presence of the super soul, the body functions. So that is the active principle. In everything you see that is alive or even not alive, the active principle is Krishna. Because he is the source of every principle, the duration of man's life depends on Krishna. So the body is mechanically functioning because of different elements. It's alive because of Krishna's presence. Even when it's alive, the proper functioning of the body depends on Krishna's energy. So that's why the duration of man's life is because of Krishna. That's why they say when Krishna wants to protect, no one can kill. When Krishna wants to kill, no one can protect. Because it's all in his hands. There is nothing that Krishna can't do because everything is his energy and everything is under his control. So therefore, when Krishna is graceful, like by the grace of Krishna, we can either live for a long time, we may not live for a long time. So in every sphere, the active principle is Krishna. Any questions on these two verses? No questions. Who's
No
Arish?
question. I just have a comment, Mataji, that
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I remember in India when we had the first rain, you could smell the
Yeah.
earth so nicely, and it's such a fragrant smell that's kind of incomparable, and you can kind of recognize that smell is really kind of Krishna, you know.
Yes, yes, yeah. Here it doesn't smell so much, right?
No, it doesn't. You really have to have that raw earth, you know.
Yeah, that's true. That probably is the difference. There is not much raw earth here. Everything
Yeah.
is covered by roads,
But I
concrete.
remember that smell, and when this verse says, you know, the smell of the earth, you can actually recognize that, you know.
Yes, yes. We missed your association, Mataji, all these days.
I missed all of you also, but, you know, different circumstances.
Yeah. Hopefully your mother will have Krishna's holy name when she passes away. That was your effort, right?
Yes, yeah. But somehow Krishna will hopefully make it happen.
Any other questions anyone has? Comments?
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble
Is it
obeisance.
So,
First, I think it fascinates me how sound is a cause of everything, and I think the modern scientist also has something similar. They call it as a Big Bang. So that's something.
Call it as a what?
The Big Bang.
Big Bang. Yes, yes.
So that's kind of a good. But my question is, you mentioned a pastime of I think Advaita Acharya, where he used to sing or no. So my question is that how do we know that which sound will penetrate the ether and reach? Like, and who gets that power to decide? Okay, this sound, yes. So that's maybe a dumb question, but that's the question.
No, it's not a dumb question. It's a good question. I was just laughing because you said who will decide which sound is good. So a pure sound, transcendental sound is one that can penetrate. Because sound is higher than everything, it can take us over all these other gross elements. But if the sound has this transcendental quality to it, it can even take us beyond the material realm. So that's how it is decided whether it can penetrate or cannot penetrate. There are so many material sounds, they won't be able to penetrate the coverings of different layers of the material world. But a sound that is produced by a pure source and the quality of that sound is transcendental, that kind of sound can connect us to the spiritual world immediately.
So in a neophyte or a sadhaka stage, is it possible that because we also chant the holy name, right? That the holy name itself is transcendental, but at least in my not pure. I may not never become pure. So what is a hope that the chanting I do will ever penetrate?
Your qualification is you think you never become pure. That's humility. That's your qualification. And the answer to your question is we do get different like glimpses of pure connection with Krishna. Krishna does give even in the beginning stages so that we know what we are aspiring for. If we don't have a taste, we wouldn't be chanting for all these days and years. If we didn't experience any pleasure in it, if we didn't have any connection with Krishna, if we didn't have any realization, then we wouldn't be chanting for so long. No one else will chant like one mantra. Outside in the material world, no one sticks to one movie. Suppose if a movie comes, people may watch it. Sometimes fans may watch it for 100 times, but after that, they won't watch it. It may stay in fashion for like 1 year maximum. After that, it won't be in fashion. Maybe there are some songs which people may hear occasionally, the old ones, but you won't do anything like every single day for 2 hours. The fact that we are doing it every single day for 2 hours, we have some level of connection with Krishna and we have some level of transcendental realization. And sometimes it probably did penetrate through the layers. In the beginning, actually, there are not so many offenses. So the purity, when we chant, we may not be so pure, but when we follow a little bit and then we don't have any offenses on our chart, then we have connection with Krishna. We have realizations. We get glimpses of ecstasy. And that's what we aim for. It won't stay though until we really become fixed up, until we really come to the platform of Nishtha, until all the anarthas are extinguished. That connection, that realization is not consistent. It's not like every time we chant, we get that feeling. It comes and it goes, and it may not come again. And it may take a while. Like when Narada Muni, when he set out on his journey as sannyasi after his mother passed away, he gets a glimpse of Krishna. And then he tries to do the same process again. No matter how hard he tries, he won't get the glimpse of Krishna again. So Krishna is not even bound by the process. The realization that comes is through the mercy of Krishna. And he just speaks because Narada Muni is trying so hard. Krishna just tells him that you won't be able to see me again in this life. You have to get purified before you will be able to see. So you continue to execute your Vaidhi Bhakti, Sadhana Bhakti, and that's how you'll come to a platform of complete purity, and then you will be able to see me consistently. Does that answer, Prabhu?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for your insights.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Also, Sundari Radhika Mataji, isn't it true that even when you leave the body, sound is the last thing, that sense of sound is the last thing that's to leave?
Yes, exactly. I wanted to say it, I forgot. Thank you, Mataji, for reminding. Sound is the last thing that leaves. I wanted to give the example of my grandfather. He was in coma, and my mother put the chanting of Srila Prabhupada. Nothing was working, but after he came out of coma, he only stayed for a few days. Even after that, he left his body. But he said, I could hear the sound very clearly. It was loud enough for me to constantly hear it. So even if no part of the body functions, the hearing will function. That's what even the hospice nurses also, they say. Yeah.
Even with my mother, even though she was completely kind of in a semi-coma state, if he said something in her ear, she would react, so sound is a function that still exists, is the last function that exists. And that is why we can hear the sound of the chanting even to the very last moment,
Yes. Yeah. That's the hope. That's why, sound is the most important thing.
Yeah.
And learning to hear is another most important quality that one must cultivate. We were just discussing, me and Sugopi, how this aspect of hearing is so powerful in Srila Prabhupada's disciples. Today, Maharaj went for a walk by himself. He went by himself. Then I said, how will you come back? then he said, I passed this test 50 years ago. And after coming back, he asked, what's your address? Then I told him only once. And he repeated the entire thing. And Sugopi was also saying, even Pyari Prabhu is so, like he remembers, like he hears once and then he remembers the whole thing. So Prabhupada's disciples, they're very much trained in hearing so attentively. That's what we were thinking. Hearing is something, it's a blessing. If we can hear properly, then that takes us a long way. If we can sit and listen properly. Thank you, Mataji, for that comment. It's very nice.
Shows the importance of hearing.
Yes. I don't know how it works for people who can't hear.
I think they can still feel the vibration.
Yes, yes, probably.
Yeah.
They have other means to feel.
Yeah, the vibration is there. The sound vibration can be felt. Like even for us, like when there is, uproarious chanting, of the kirtan, we can, even as we are hearing, we can still feel that vibration,
Yes, yes. Yeah.
But
Should we?
we are fortunate that we can hear.
Yes, yes. Should we read another verse or stop here? We have 8 minutes. I don't know how big the other verse is. I was hoping that Maharaj would give the class today, but sick. So.
I hope he feels better.
Yeah. Just all of a sudden he got fever, so he just took rest. I didn't prepare well enough. I just spoke according to what I
hope he got his shots and everything. He got his COVID shots.
He got COVID a year ago.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah, so he has that immunity. It's just his stomach is not very good. Yeah.
Well, sorry to hear that.
Yeah. Okay, if we only have 7 minutes and this seems like an important verse, I don't want to just read it and leave it at that.
Yeah, that sounds fine, Mataji.
Thank you all very much. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyascha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavasya
Antakoti
Vaishnavrinda ki jai,
Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Sundari Radhika Mataji ki jai,
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.